you hate the thought of working past 55 or 60? Do you hate not being able to live the life you deserve today? Do you hate not knowing what your financial future looks like? It's time to stop doing what you hate. Here's your host, Mr. Harold Green.
Aloha, everybody. This is Harold Green of Brightree Financial, and it is time to stop doing what you hate. How y'all doing? Well, I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited today to be sharing with you. I'm excited and thankful for the opportunity to be bringing you guys today's show. And the title is Leveraging Your Life Insurance. And there's a lot of things I want to get into in regards to life insurance and how you can leverage it to your benefit and what it could possibly mean to your family for future generations to come. But I have some things that I want to get off my chest. And so if you guys can bear with me for a little bit, I always love sharing with you my life, how I think, where I'm coming from, why I do the things that I do, just so that if you don't yet know me and you've been listening and, you start listening to the show, you can just kind of get a sense of, who I am and where I come from and my background and things like that. So I want to talk to you about something that has happened, and I'm a little bit upset about it. And if you can bear with me, and I'll kind of share with you guys what it is. Now, I don't see myself as being a rocket scientist or anyone super smart or a supremely intelligent human being, but there is one thing that I know that I have, because my mama told me, boy, you need to make sure you have common sense and that you use your common sense. And this week, I feel that my common sense is being assaulted. I feel like the intelligence that I have is being assaulted. Now, I don't live in the state of Georgia, and I really don't know what those folks are going through, but a bill was passed stating that you need to have an ID to vote in person or absentee. And some people have come out and said that having to show ID is racist. Now, a lot of you folks with common sense understand that that's just political hyperbole. But some people actually believe that. They believe a lot of stuff. Why? Because they are not simply using their common sense. Now, I can think of maybe 10, 15 different reasons why you need to have an ID. And as a matter of fact, I don't know anybody who don't have at least 2 or 3 forms of ID. I have a golf ID. I have a driver's license. I have a passport, and maybe some other forms of ID. Now, I've had to present these forms of ID at banks, when I open up a bank account, if I buy a can of beer, I need to show an ID. If I buy a pack of cigarettes, I need to show proof of age. If I try to cash a check, I need to show some proof of ID. And that just kind of disturbs me. And so thinking about it, I bought my ticket to go to a business conference in Florida. And Delta came out and said, hey, this is racist. So Delta, I got to show my ID to get on your plane. And your employees have to show their ID just to come to work. And I can go on and on and on. And this is what I want to get into. I want to get into something about knowledge. Okay. And I'm a Bible guy. I love reading my Bible. I love learning. And I'm going to take you to the number one reason why people in this world are destroyed. And they are destroyed because a lack of knowledge. That's it. Not a lack of opportunity, not a lack of diversity, not a lack of equality, but it starts primarily, the root cause is a lack of knowledge. And Hosea 4:6 says in the New International Version, my people are destroyed from lack of knowledge because you have rejected knowledge. I also reject you as my priest because you have ignored the law of your God. I will also ignore your children. Now that's Old Testament, and that was brutal. And so there is a penalty for rejecting knowledge. And I want to get into this show about leveraging life insurance and life insurance in general, because there's a lot of knowledge out there about life insurance. And I tell you, a lot of it is being rejected. Just like there's a lot of knowledge out there about being, invested in the market or invested in any type of asset, but it is being rejected. So are you guys ready to get this? All right, let's go. 1, 2, 3. Let's get it. Now, I want to talk to you about one of the designations that I have that qualifies me to be sharing with you about life insurance, how to leverage it, and why it is so important. And, I'll tell you straight up, I think I bought my first life insurance policy when I was 20 something years old. I used to work in the home office of a life insurance company. And for me, it was an exciting thing because I got to learn a lot of stuff. And one day, as I was going through some accounts in the system, I stumbled across a life insurance policy with a death benefit of $9 million. Now, here at the time, I was 20 something years old. I'm like, God, who needs a $9 million life insurance policy? And so when I started looking at it, and it's just kind of like in the database, and sometimes you have to go in and do certain things for certain accounts. And I found out who this person was, and I knew this person, very influential person. And I looked at how much they were putting in the policy, and I think it was like $75,000 a year. And at the time, being 23, I made like $25,000 a year just being in client relations. I'm like, oh my God, this person is putting in 3 times what I make. Who can afford to do that? And so, once I, realized who this person was and what they did for a living, I was like, okay, this makes sense. And what happened was that started me on the pathway to earning one of my designations called Chartered Life Underwriter, which is a very, very, very interesting designation. There's a lot of CLUs out there, and I think they're one of the most underrated designations that an individual can have, along with some other things. So the certifications for the course is basically fundamentals of life insurance planning. These books are, 400 or 500 pages, and they're all self-study, and you got to read them, and then you got to go take the exams. It's about a 2-hour exam or whatever, an hour and a half, something like that, and you got to pass with it. I think it's a 70. And then you have individual life insurance. You have life insurance law, fundamentals of estate planning, planning for business owners and professionals. And then you had 3 electives that you had to choose from, which are financial planning, process and environment, income taxation, and then planning for retirement needs. Now, a lot of this went into actual financial planning, but then it also tied in life insurance, and then how life insurance is a valuable tool in estate planning and then also financial planning. And so one of the things that people do is they say, well, life insurance is too expensive, and so therefore I'm not going to have it. Or they say, life insurance, I heard that I should buy term insurance and then invest the rest. There's a lot of different strategies out there, but if you don't have a set financial plan, how do you know which life insurance policy is best for you? So going back to my situation, again, when I was 23 years old, I think I bought my first life insurance policy, and then I bought one more, then I bought one for my wife, and I started buying for my kids. And then I think today I have about total, I think we have 10 or 12, maybe even 15 life insurance policies in our family. And my kids have at least 2 or 3, I think. And then my wife now, we have, I think 5 each or something like that or more. And so why did I buy so much life insurance? And so one of the things I realized was that I'm not going to be making the same level of income forever. Based on how I live my life, my income is supposed to grow, and I'm supposed to have more money. And so with that in mind, I looked at that and said, wait, I need to have places to hold this money. And so I built these life insurance policies for myself so that over time, I can fill in these buckets that are empty inside of my life insurance policy. And so there's a base premium that I have, and then there is a rider attached to the policy, which allows me to go back in and add in up to $25,000 a year based on what these policies can technically hold. And so for me, I was like, all right, so I know I don't want to die broke, and I know I'm going to have an estate planning issue if I don't have enough life insurance to cover all of the things that I'm going to leave behind to my kids, because they do have exclusions. I think it's like 10 million or something like that. So I can give my money to my wife, and then, she's, that gets excluded from the estate tax. And then from there, she gets to pass down so much to my kids without having to pay taxes on that. And so, but my wife is a foreign national. She's not a US citizen. So what that means is I had to set up a special kind of trust just for her and then make my son the trustee because she's not a United States citizen. And what's so complicated is if something happens to me, my wife is not allowed to take that money out of country. That money has to stay in the United States. And so if she moves back to Japan, my son would be required to send her money to live on and do whatever. So, it can be very complicated, but there's enough life insurance in my estate that she would be able to wind up my company and take care of everything that needs to be taken care of. So with that being said, life insurance is extremely important for one simple fact. Now, I'm not just going to say life insurance. I'm going to say permanent life insurance. I'm going to say life insurance that builds cash value life insurance. Now, I'm going to take that a step further. I'm going to say dividend paying whole life insurance. I'm sold. I've seen so many different types of policies, and my job before becoming a fiduciary advisor in another firm was reviewing life insurance policies. That's all I did every day for 3 or 4 years was reviewing life insurance policies. And I saw how these plans were set up, and I saw how they were so flawedly built that it should have just been illegal. But the situation was these policies were not bought, they were sold. People were sold these life insurance policies, had no clue how they operate, but everything sounded good. The presentation was good, and they just kind of they bought them. And so when I'm interviewing these people, why did you buy this stuff? Well, that was my cousin. He sold it to me. Or we got it from him or her or whoever. Sounded good at the time, but they told me this, they told me that. And I said, yeah, if that environment would have stayed the same over the next 30 years, yeah, what they were saying was true. But here's the thing about financial environments. They always change. And in my last show, we talked about situational awareness, right? So right now in this country, they are talking about changing how things are done in regards to taxation and what will happen to your estate upon your death. And these are very important things that you need to understand. And I think I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say this because I have the COU and I've seen tons of life insurance policies over my years, and I've seen how they're taxed. I understand how they're taxed inside and out. And it is this: I don't think that government will ever again make large fundamental changes to how life insurance policies work on the inside in regards to taxation and things of that nature. Why? Because life insurance is where a majority of the banks keep their tier one cash reserves. Now, what are tier one cash reserves? Tier one cash reserves is the money that banks keep in reserves for the money that you're supposed to have in your bank account. So say, for example, they're allowed to loan out 95%, roughly 95% of the cash that comes in. The other 5% goes into reserves. And that's why when you go in and you say, hey, give me $300,000 in cash, they look at you kind of crazy and hey, sorry, we ain't got that right now. Wait, you're a bank. Well, no, you got to come back tomorrow or whenever we tell you, because basically the banks have to go borrow the money from the Fed overnight. That's what the overnight Fed funds rate is, right? Because they don't have it. They got to go get this money out of different places in order to put it in there to balance things out. But I don't think government is going to change that, because if so, they're going to be hurting an entire financial network, and they understand that. I'm going to go out on another limb and say, I don't even think they are going to change how they are dealing with the long-term capital gains situation. I think a lot of stuff that we're hearing is just hyperbole and the government pandering to their base, to the people that are not investing in the market. And here's a very sad thing. I think it's 50% of the people in the United States do not have money in the market. And I'll probably say 50% of the people in the country have no type of investment at all, whether it's a life insurance policy or a rental property, or maybe even a home. And having a home is one of the basic investments. Some people and life doesn't work that way for them. Okay. But having a permanent life insurance policy will do a couple of different things for you. Number one, if you build cash value inside your life insurance policy, it will give you the asset protection that you need in case something happens to your other assets or you get sued. So we're looking at it for asset protection. You can have $1 million, $2 million, $3 million in cash value, and that money can't be touched because you are in a contract with the life insurance company. So no one can come and say and make a claim against your cash value, because doing so would cause the life insurance company to violate the agreement that they have with you inside of that policy, because your cash value is guaranteed. The only institution that can come after your cash value in your life insurance policy is the United States government in the form of liens, because you're not paying your taxes or whatever it may be. They can put a lien against the cash value inside your life insurance policy. Number two, having cash value inside of a life insurance policy will give you the ability to leverage and borrow money against the values inside of your life insurance policy. And I've seen that many times where you would use that as a collateral for business loans or whatever it may be, or in some cases it could be for mortgages or whatnot. I've seen things like that before. And basically the cash value belongs to the lending institution until you repay them. Okay. And so that's a very interesting thing. And I'll kind of leave you guys with this. I've used my life insurance policies many times. I've used it to pay, tuition for my kids' college. I've used it to pay for cars and things like that. I've used it to invest in the stock market. And this is all done because of the knowledge that I have. And, you guys don't have to take my word for it. You can also go out there and do your own research. And I would almost beg you and say, you probably shouldn't be thinking about paying off your mortgage unless you've had a certain amount of money in cash value inside your life insurance policy. And for me, what I do is I use my home equity line of credit and pay for my life insurance policies for the most part. And because I'm leveraging my future revenue, I'm leveraging my future income to put that money inside of my life insurance policy now, because it can give me dividends and different things like that. Yes, I pay a little interest on the home equity line of credit that I'm funding my life insurance policy with. But if anything were to happen to me, my wife could easily pay off that home equity line of credit. And so if I know I'm going to be working for 10, 15, 20, 30 more years, then for me, it makes sense to leverage my future earnings and not necessarily rush to pay down debt, because I would probably be killing the goose that laid the golden egg. In other words, funding my life insurance, funding my investment plans, and then allowing those things to grow and then pay back any debt that I owe because I've leveraged future revenue. I think it's a brilliant thing for my financial plan. Now, if that's you and you're not sure which strategy you should be implementing or what route you should potentially take, I'm going to tell you, go to my website, Retire Now, retirewild.com, and just fill out some questionnaires or whatnot, download the Rapid Retire brochure, or just give me a call, 808-521-4401, and then let me help you build out your life insurance policies in a manner that makes sense for your long-term financial plan, whether it be for your estate planning situation or to fund cars or to potentially fund a business or heck, just to even fund your $5,000 to $10,000 to $15,000 vacations every single year. There's some amazing things you can do with these life insurance policies, and they will allow you to accomplish what I desire inside of Rapid Retire in the cash reserve system of dual purpose dollars, money doing more than one thing at the same time. And I'm going to tell you guys, money is a force. Money is a force, and money needs to be put to work. Money cannot be stashed idle or thrown in a hole. It has to be put to work. And another reason why people suffer financially is because they lack the knowledge to put money to work. You don't have to have a finance degree from Harvard to understand how to put money to work. There's simple things that you can do, but the basic place I think everybody should start is in a dividend paying whole life insurance policy. Maybe you can't afford that much. That's okay. You start small and then you begin to build and build and build and build and build. And this will allow you over time to leave a legacy to not only your children, but to your children's children. And later on, we can get into 72Ts, which is a way to distribute money out of retirement plans early to pay for life insurance policies. I've done that before. And so That's a very complicated thing, but it can be done. I make it simple for my clients who want to do that. So if you want to know more, get in contact with me. And thanks for allowing me to share with you guys how you feel. And by the way, if you buy a life insurance policy, you got to show me your ID, because it's part of the anti-money laundering rules. And so everybody, thank you for listening. And until next time, 1, 2, 3, let's get it.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.